Hello Virgo, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Welcome to your monthly reading. This is for the month of November, and if it's your first time here, welcome. If you're a return viewer, I'm so glad you came back. Just a quick overview of what the format's going to look like, and then we'll get started. I like to begin every reading with some channeled messages. Basically, that's me connecting to source, bringing through whatever needs to come through. I get that through dreams and also through meditation. Then we'll get into the Celtic Cross, where we basically navigate opportunities, potential challenges, and basically set you up to be empowered and prepared for everything that the next 6 to 8 weeks actually has in store for you. You can also use this for Sun, Rising Moon, and Venus, really any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. And I also have a special portion towards the end where we focus a little bit more on Sun, Rising, and Moon. With that being said, just a couple of quick notes and we're going to get started. If you would like to support the channel or stay in touch, hit that subscribe button. It's absolutely free. It has a big impact. And more importantly, it'll let you know when I post new videos. The bell icon will also send push notifications or emails when I do a video. So opt into all notifications to make sure that you don't miss anything. And then drop a comment below and let me know what you like. All right. You can also join me on social media for some additional reminders, including all the platforms that I've listed here. It's usually, by the way, my social handle is just my name, Nicholas Ashbaugh. Twitter is the only one where it's a little bit different, and I've listed all the handles below. Reminder that on all social media platforms, I do not use direct messages, and I don't offer private readings. The only way to connect is in real time like we're doing here. So beware of anybody that's trying to message you or pretend to be me, and let me know about that as well. If you'd like to show love and support, you can do that through YouTube, like I said, in a premiere or later on replay using SuperChats, SuperSticker, memberships, or even the thanks button as well. All of these are great ways to stay connected. And in the coming weeks and months, I may do some member-specific perks beyond what I already have, including maybe some videos just for members. So stay tuned, more fun things to come with that. And thank you so much for all the support. All right, let's go ahead now and move along to the channeled messages. Today, the interesting thing that I was picking up on is there's a period of sort of like pause and gestation and sort of internal, I would say for you, sort of discovery, and then we see this activation period coming through. So I'm going to try to help you navigate through all of this as we move into the month ahead. All right. So we'll begin with your two-part totem. You have a dual totem today. The first one is a tortoise, and the second is basically around the mechanism of star formation. So the tortoise is a beautiful totem. It's strong. When you think of that shell, it's basically strong and has its own built-in protection. It represents this slowing down or tuning in period for many of you right now. So a couple facts about tortoises. They're of course known for a couple of main attributes. Basically that they're a little bit reclusive, they keep to themselves, and also they're pretty slow. The message here with this totem is pretty clear. At least for the first part of November, many of you may find that you want to pull back a little bit from obligations. You might even see a slowing down happening around you. And this is giving you a chance to figure out what the next step is. Whenever we have a plateau, whenever we feel like we need to pull back a little bit, it's not something to worry about. It's actually a beautiful blessing if it happens and when it happens. So if you find yourself in that slowing down period, take advantage of it. If you're busy, if you're running nonstop, the tortoise is coming through to say, conserve or reserve just a little bit of energy for your own happiness, for your own well-being, so that you have more to basically give in the future here. Strategy is more important than speed right now. And if you're working for a big company, or if you're in a big family, or if you're caught up in sort of a big organizational push, something that's going on and you're a part of something big, don't forget to pause for a moment and just kind of like do a pulse check, look and see where you're going. The strategic and I would also say planning elements are going to save you time later. So when everyone's going, running around and constantly sort of like in that chaotic mode, you're going to stay still. We're going to talk later about a star, but basically you're like that solar energy at the middle of all of that movement. And it's your job to stay still, to shine, and to create the light that we actually see right on top of this hermit. The hermit we're going to talk even more about in the next slide here. Probably one of the strongest cards in the major arcana. When I'm looking for sort of spiritual connections, it's always reaffirming to get like the hermit or the hierophant, the magician, high priestess. They all show that they're plugged in, the star as well. and all of these energies kind of work together. But the Hermit is powerful because it's one of the wisest cards in the major arcana. So let's talk a little bit more about the Tortoise, and then we'll reconnect to the Hermit energy here. So turtles retract their bodies into their shells when they're in danger or when they feel like they need to protect themselves. But the interesting thing, we can connect this to the Hermit. The Hermit itself sometimes feels like it needs to kind of go within and understand what's going on. It's not like we can kind of retract ourselves, but sometimes we pull back so that we can figure out, how do I feel about this? What do I want to do about this? Do I want to share or show this part of myself? So it's more of an introspective kind of going in the shell versus the turtle, which just hides its body. Like I said here, the Hermit's really not about hiding, it's about discovery, an inner searching for purpose, for strength, and for knowledge. The Hermit phase ultimately will end, and it ends in that spotlight that we see, or the basically the lantern. And if you look really closely, the lantern always has a star inside. So initially you pull back, you find your strength, and at a certain point in time you decide when to come out and show that star energy. And you'll be able to shine because you've done the research, because you believe in yourself, because you've worked on confidence. And that hard work and talent is what's going to pay off. We're missing a little bit of this bottom piece, so let me just pull it out so you can see it here. So what you really want to show is that acumen, that hard work, and that talent that you've worked to create and you've worked to sort of like show to the world at this moment in time. So I put here kindling, or perhaps for some of you it's going to be rekindling the inner confidence that maybe you lost in the past, but you're going to reclaim and you're going to rediscover right now. Now, let's look a little bit more at the pacing, like I said, of tortoises. They're very slow, but there's something beautiful about this speed. So I looked it up, and it's like 0.2 to 0.5 kilometers per hour, even slower in miles per hour if you calculate it. But when I thought of it on a cosmic scale, think about how slowly the continents move on this planet, the plate tectonics. Think about how long it takes for some of the planets to orbit around the sun or even rotate on their own axis, especially as we get further out in the solar system. And you realize that just because you can't see the speed or the movement or the change doesn't mean that it's not happening. It is not about how you're tracking on a timeline or how quickly something's happening in comparison to what you had kind of projected out there. Sometimes these milestones are just arbitrary, right? Or they're projected from family, like by a certain age you need to do this, by a certain time you should be doing this. You're exactly where you need to be as long as you feel like you are making progress. So one step at a time, one thought at a time, basically keeping the action moving forward. Also understanding that you may have changed or made more movement in your own life than you might be giving yourself credit for. When you connect with someone that you haven't seen in a while, they may notice the change energetically. They may even see it in your own body, in the way that you're holding yourself, in the way that you're talking. So what I get when I'm looking at this totem right here, right now, is that there has been a shift that's happened within you. And this shift is going to continue to have like a ricochet effect. And you're going to be able to see it in the weeks to come. But right here and right now, you might be watching today thinking, but Nicholas, I want it to happen now. Why isn't it all happening right now? Because there's an alignment of a synchronicity in the future, and you're perfectly aligned for that. So be patient and continue to focus on this gentle, subtle, but significant movement. All right? That's the important thing. You're still making the progress that you need to. All of these mechanisms that I mentioned really do happen slowly on the planet and in a cosmic scale. Time is much slower. We as humans want it to all happen right here and right now. So this totem is coming through and saying it's going to be all right, and be more present. The tortoise is going to take its time to move. So as you move forward, take your time, be present, and be mindful that it's all happening. It's okay. And that'll help you, okay? Just think of, for those of you that have children or nieces and nephews, or you've seen kids or you've been with them before, and they're like, are we there yet? Is this happening? When is my birthday? When is the holiday happening? It's that rushing energy that we can't afford to do right now. And when you have a kid, you're trying to help them be more present. So that's what I'm getting with this, is that it's going to be all right. And it's time to sort of like just take a deep breath. The next slide here is basically helping us understand that life is a long distance run. It's not a sprint. So what I loved about tortoises is they have longevity with them. So I chose the Nine of Pentacles here because this long journey brings you to this energy of sustainability, of being able to have more than enough, but that happens over time. It doesn't happen in a minute. Tortoises can live between 60 to 150 years at some extremes, which is amazing. And they remind us of the importance of putting out those long-term goals, not just the short-term ones. We need both, but also like beyond the present sort of situation, what are the next 2 or 3 things that you want to do? When we're younger, sometimes we don't think past, graduation or marriage or the next big goal. This is saying, but what's the whole purpose of this lifetime about? What do you hope to leave behind as a legacy? What do you want to do to touch and to shape and to make this world or the people around you better when you're gone off this planet? So this is going even beyond, sort of like instant gratification. But what is coming through for you is Nine of Pentacles energy. We have a snail on this card, but the tortoise works in the same way. Slow, steady, leading towards abundance. Pacing. With this Nine of Pentacles, it has to go through all the other cards first. And I would say the Six of Pentacles is the most powerful one because it's discernment. So deciding exactly where, when, and what you want to put your energy into, slowing down enough to really enjoy the moment. All of these things are important. As Apollo in the background is sleeping and snoring a little bit. He's saying, Dad, I am totally relaxing and enjoying. So we can learn a lesson from Apollo to just take our time, rest, be present, and receive. All right, let's move on to the second totem today. And this really is all about not just the stars, but the star formation. So this is something that actually gives me hope whenever I feel like my life is chaotic or things are messy. But stars form from clouds of dust and gas, basically a mess. And this can be a beautiful mess. Like I'm put an example here, the Orion Nebula. There's a lot of star factories in there where you can see this beautiful bright light because the stars that are being born, they light up all of that gas and it's just beautiful. But basically it's a dusty mess. And that's even how our solar system began. So within this sort of gaseous, dusty mix of elements, what happens is there's turbulence that starts to happen. And then there's a protostar that forms. Gravity starts to push in, and there's this fiery mass at the center of that becomes the beginning of what will be a star. And this hot core is going to be what creates essentially a new star, a new sun, and then it's going to be an accretion disk. We'll talk about that in the next slide. But you have to begin somewhere. This, for many of you, can be an epiphany or a call to action. So all of the slow building movement that has been happening for many of you over the course of the first few weeks of November, or maybe right now if you're watching this live premiere, then this is the lead up to something big, to a big reveal, to a big expansion. And so that's why you want to pace yourself and enjoy that time, or take some time to make sure that you are reserving some resources so that you can take advantage of this big moment, which I see happening towards the middle to the end of November. So you have to be ready. You have to be ready to step into that. And then what this is ultimately going to do is set you up to be the Hierophant here, the one that calls things into order. People are going to be looking for someone to fix a problem, to have an answer, to solve some sort of a situation. And because of the Hermit energy, because of the Temperance energy, because of everything that we've been looking up until now, you're ready for this. And you're not going to freak out, especially because you're tuning into this live. So from chaos comes order. You're the star at the center of that. You're the Hierophant at the center of that. You're the organizer. This is the Hierophant to me you can think of it as like a conductor in an orchestra. If we don't have the conductor, people may be playing at the wrong time, moving, doing the wrong sort of thing at the wrong time. So you're here to set the pace, set the tempo, and keep things harmonious. So into the star energy again, a star forms. Once that forms, there's an accretion disk, basically this halo of dust that then is going to either bring life to other stars or other planets and satellites and things of that nature. So from the clouds of chaos, you're going to be able to see a pattern. This is the other piece of this. So let's say other people around you are kind of in the fog, but you can see what you're going to do next. It might be a career move. It could be personal development. It could be something bigger in the world that you want to do. Other people are still in the dust. That's because you're the star, you're the center, you're the one that is going to be the mover and the shaker. So don't be afraid to step forward when other people don't understand how or why it's going to work. That's because they don't have the clarity that you do. You're rising above all of this chaotic energy. You had the epiphany, you did the inner work, and now you're going to be the one that is going to say, here's how, here's why, and watch me do it, right? So this is a moment of empowerment for many of you. Your vision can and will manifest into a powerful reality, and you might have to also differentiate yourself. This cloud or this nebula of dust can also represent just too many cooks in the kitchen. It could be a lot of competition. It could be everyone that's trying to do the same old, same old. So you're going to shine brightly. You're going to take the lantern from the hermit and become the star and shine brightly, and then other people are going to take note of you. All right? So I see this as a differentiating month, a chance to stand out. For some of you, you may be criticized, you may be misunderstood, but ultimately you're going to be validated because you've done the research and you've done the inner work, and you're okay with that. As we kind of move further into our lives, we realize that popularity is not all that it's, sort of like shaped up to be. That what matters most is that you really are moving on the path that is important to you, that is authentic to you. And as long as you're doing that, you're on the path for personal success. At the beginning and the end of our lives, we enter into this life as a single soul, we exit the same way, and we're going to be looking at our lives in soul review with our spiritual sort of counterparts, our angels, our guides, and ourself. We're going to be looking and judging through the lens of our own sort of experience. So don't worry what other people think. Suffice it to say, you are your own best judge and jury. So be kind to yourself, be open, and stand firm and strong to whatever it is that you're trying to do. All right, let's get into the rest of your reading today. Just a quick reminder of what we're going to do next. We're going to jump into the Celtic Cross and expanded forecast next, one of my favorite parts, and I know yours. And then we'll get into the latter portion where we do a lot of different things, okay? All right, let's go ahead now and turn the camera down and take a look at your forecast. Hope everyone's doing great today, by the way. It's good to see you. I've chosen the Tarot of the Divine here for today's deck. You can always look at a link to all of my tarot decks on my website, by the way. What a wonderful sort of synchronicity that we have here with Flip It Upside Down, and we see that lovely accretion disk or galactic sort of energy that I was talking about with the sun formation or the star formation. So we'll talk more about that. That's your destiny card. So that's telling me everything that you're going through this month is basically moving you towards this, which is really nicely aligned with what we talked about. Let's begin with your catalyst. So we have the desert. The card came through in the reverse state. And one of the things that we see in this card is reaching up, reaching for help, asking for assistance. The desert here reminds me of the Queen of Wands card or the King of Wands card, because typically they are put into a desert setting, but what differentiates them from the other court cards is their ability to prosper in a place that they really shouldn't prosper. So let's pull the Queen of Wands energy here, and I'm going to bring up a couple of things while we do that. So the fact that we see that hand reaching for help is saying, don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, this is something that I need some assistance with, or to stop something that doesn't make sense. So a lot of times we end up just kind of moving forward on a path when we know it's kind of like an accident waiting to happen. It would be much better for you to be the voice of reason and later have that validated as like, thank God you spoke up. It's so good that you're the one that sort of helped us avoid spending time, energy, or money on something that wasn't worth it. So you may, again, initially face some pushback, but your vision, your intuition is really tuned in right now, and it's something that you should never second guess. So here we go. Here's the Queen of Wands. So with the Queen of Wands here, we see her in the desert, and we see the intuition represented by the black cat. We see the abundance here with the sunflower. And here's the thing with sunflowers. They are heliotropic. And heliotropic basically means that they follow the energy of the sun until they basically get to the point that they're just seeds and then the birds eat them. But for most of their life, they're going back and forth and tracing the light of the sun as it goes through the sky. So you are the queen, and other people are the sunflowers following your light, your energy. And the universe just spoke and said, yes, you're the leader, not the follower. That's so funny. For those of you that work with spirit, those sort of things are not accidental. It was just basically a cord that hit the floor. So you may have to be the one that creates that action just like that. Lead, don't follow. And the cards have spoken, and so has the sort of spiritual energy around me. This is your moment to lead. So we see here someone also being able to reach up in a place where there shouldn't be the capacity for growth, and they find something, a hidden resource. She is very good at thinking, at moving, at shaping things, and she surprises other people with her insights, with her sort of ability to think outside of the box. So you are going to move, shape, or prevent something from happening, and you see it before other people see it. And that's actually what constitutes a visionary, right? But a lot of times people that are visionaries, they seem like, they're way out there at the time, and later people think, oh yeah, that's a stroke of genius. An example is, if you look at your phones right now, those of you that remember cell phones from the early part of the 2000s and late 90s, they were flip phones, or you used a T9 keypad instead. And Apple was definitely one of the first innovators when it came to taking the keyboard off, because BlackBerry was the main sort of, at least in corporate cultures, it was the one that was used for a long time. And people made fun of Apple, saying, how are you going to use a keyboard where you don't actually have a keyboard? And now we don't even use that. Android innovated where you can slide back and forth. Apple did the tap one. There's so many innovations that came through. Initially, they were kind of mocked, and then now they're commonplace now, so that you don't even think twice. You think of musicians when they first came out. Sometimes they tried new things. Someone maybe like Prince that seemed outlandish, and now you look back, or David Bowie, the way that they dressed and the way that they played music was unusual, but now they're seen as visionaries, right? So don't be afraid to be bold. Don't be afraid to try something new, and basically just do your homework. We talked about all the slow, steady, introspective work that came through with the Hermit energy. If you've done your homework, you have nothing to fear. Just stay consistent, be willing to put yourself out there and sell whatever it is that you want to kind of like get other people to see, and they'll eventually resonate with what it is that you're doing, okay? A couple of interesting notes as we take a look here at the table. You do have the King of Wands coming through, so I'm glad I just chatted about the King and the Queen of Wands existing in that sort of desert, but being able to come through with boldness. The King of Wands has like a gecko or lizard on his particular totem, and we'll look at that as I get into that. We also have the Page of Wands coming through, hit the center here. So all of that energy of innovation, of fire, of passion is in the spread as we speak. Let's go ahead and start with these first two cards, beginning with the Page at the center. So this can indicate good news, by the way. So that moment of epiphany for many of you could come in the form of something landing in your lap, or you remembering something that you wanted to do, reconnecting with something. And again, that's sort of that precipitating moment where suddenly the protostar in your life starts to form and you think, oh, let's do this. Or that's where I want to throw my passion, my power, and my energy. Pages are conduits, they're mediums, but they have to do a combination of things. So you're going to be both delivering messages and also interpreting messages. And the most important thing this month is how to kind of do both. Walk the line between being a leader and also making sure that you're not missing something in the environment. The other thing that is cool with a page is it's basically, you may take something that someone else has done, but it's the way that you shape it or form it, as we were talking about with this particular desert card, that is what makes it special. So you're taking all the elements. So we go back to the nebula example. So maybe there were 1 or 2 or 3 different stars that went supernova. Now there's this dust. You're going to take all those old elements and create something completely new. And it'll have a life of its own. So this is also a period of time for second chances. What's important is that you don't repeat history, that you learn from past experiences, and that you try to do something that will resonate with right here and right now. So you're being very sensitive to what people are wanting and liking. So look at trends, do your research, and that's definitely going to help you out, particularly when it comes to business. But even in relationships, just kind of picking up on what the other partner or the other people around you are feeling and wanting and experiencing, it makes you more plugged in. Here's the main challenge for that. We have the Five of Swords. One thing that we start to learn as we get older with the Five of Swords is it's not always worth it. With the Five of Swords, you can't necessarily communicate with someone because they may not be open to criticism. They may not be willing to take accountability. They may be too busy focusing on what to say next, and they're not actually listening to you. There's usually a breakdown in communication. So Five of Swords comes through to tell you, you can spend your time better, more wisely on something different. And this isn't worth the investment. You typically can't change someone's mind when they've already made it up. And I think that covers everything there. So there are people, there are opportunities that you can tune in, that you can be that perfect in-between person for. And then there are other people that are already closed down. Go where the open doors and the open minds are. Move away from people that are closed off and that just are not receptive. Think of it, for those of you that travel, like the outlets in every country. There seems to be sort of a different voltage and a different sort of prong that you have to plug in. You can't force something. If you do, one of the cord will spark, or the device will blow up, or it just isn't going to fit. So it has to be the right frequency, right? The right sort of electrical frequency and voltage. So there are some people in your life where you just can't plug in, you won't connect, and that's okay. One of you has to adapt. One of you has to either increase or decrease. So right now, you're not in that energy of decreasing or lowering your frequency. Walk away if you can't connect. All right, let's move on to deep past. This is the lesson that you've learned, but you're still sort of dealing with at the beginning of the month. So we have patience. So all of that stuff that I was talking about with the tortoise definitely comes through with Hanged Man in reverse. So Hanged Man in reverse is saying, like, I don't want to slow down. I want things to happen right here and right now. Remember that every delay is for a purpose. So basically, I always like to remind people of the myth of the Hanged Man. It's Odin hanging from the tree of knowledge and learning the secrets of the runes, basically. And that took 9 days, 9 nights. So with this, we actually sometimes can get a time marker, which is from the time that you watch this reading, either on replay or if you're watching the premiere, about a week to a week and a half from now, about 9 days, you're going to start to see some progress. Between now and then, you're being asked to take it a little slower than you normally would. And while you have that extra time, while you're being careful and mindful of what you're doing, you might pick up on something that could help you in the long run, gain speed, gain traction, or you're getting that knowledge that's going to help convince someone in the future that you've done your work, okay? So give yourself a little bit over a week and a half, and you're going to see the progress that you want. Don't rush. Don't take a shortcut. Be patient with yourself. This card also has health ramifications. As someone who recently suffered injury to the foot, whenever I see the Hanged Man, it can show an avoidable injury that happens with respect to health. And we'll look more at that when I delve into the health cards. But this can be because you are not paying attention to your surroundings, because you're burning the candle at both ends and you're tired. So make sure that you're getting enough rest. Keep that phone in your pocket and be aware of what's going on. Stop with the multitasking. Be more present. That's basically what we can get with that. And then do pay attention to ankles and feet. And if there's any issues there, obviously you'll work with the appropriate professional to make sure that that's taken care of. Okay, let's move into what's basically presenting itself right here, right now. So as we look at recent past, we have the Ace of Swords, which is necessary action and cutting through the red tape. I'm looking at all of the sort of rope here as red tape, at least in my mind's eye. So what you're being asked to do right now is to figure out, do I want to be a part of this bureaucracy? Is there a way that I can be more efficient in what I'm doing? So instead of trying to rush, where am I spinning my wheels elsewhere? What can I do to kind of conserve energy and take more impactful action so that it's not just about sort of like doing more, but it's doing better with the energy that you are putting out there. This is also a card of speaking and making sure that you're walking the walk and talking the talk, so accountability as well. People are going to hold you to the words that you've said. So make sure that if you RSVP yes to something, that you can truly do that. That's something that I'm careful of too. You want to make sure that you say yes when you're absolutely prepared to do it. So if you're going to commit to helping someone with a move, to dating someone, to taking a job, to even just showing up, make sure that you can show up before you say that you can do that. I'm a big stickler for that. And then people appreciate that when you are honest, when you are clear with boundaries and energy, because you know in your heart if you can do it or if you can't do it. So just let people know, and that's going to help you out as well. People want you to sign on the dotted line when we get the Ace of Swords. So with this, I still see like a web behind it. So you may need to cut out some of the stuff that's in the contract. You may have to cut straight to the conversation of what you like or don't like. It's about being very direct right now. You definitely have the capacity to do that, so I'm not worried about it. But this is just a reminder to be as direct, as honest, and as accountable as possible. Your crowning card is the Seven of Pentacles reversed, and it's worth noting that your outcome card is the Five of Pentacles in reverse. Between the two of these would be the Six of Pentacles, which is balance and discernment. Let's talk about this. Seven of Pentacles, slow, steady, consistent growth and recovery. Recovery in your mind, in your body, in your heart, and most importantly, in your finances. When it's reversed, it's saying there's temptation to go too far. This temptation could come from someone who won't accept no for an answer. That's totally something that you would get with Five of Swords, or who pushes you to do the thing that you know you shouldn't do. So you're going to stand up against this. You're going to say no. You're going to be the voice of reason in that situation and push back. So the Seven of Pentacles can be successful if you hold your ground, if you choose to not overextend yourself, and basically you say, I've already been there, I've done that, and it doesn't work. So integrate that lesson. Then that gets you into the Eight of Pentacles, which is basically graduating and applying this energy into a better sort of investment. You get a return on the Eight of Pentacles. On the Seven, you're still kind of being stretched a little bit. So like I said, between this and your outcome is the Six, which is balance, which is the scales. I can't do this, but I can do this. Does that work for you? That's how you can negotiate. If that Five of Swords energy at the center still doesn't want that, then you move on. So let's move on to the next card, and we'll continue to kind of draw a connection between these two as we move. So we have the Five of Cups here. These two fives are showing a shift in perspective. Here's someone that can't see it your way. Here's a way for you to look past this frustration, because there's always someone or something that is presenting itself to you here. There's always a Two of Cups in the background. So I look at this card, much like the Four of Cups, as a chance to see a hidden blessing. This hidden blessing is in partnership or acceptance. So when you're rejected from a place or an opportunity or something in your life that you really wanted, there's always a silver lining. And it's really, again, redirecting you towards something that's going to be a better place for you to thrive. So there might be, if someone says no to an invitation, there might be someone else who says yes. There might be, if you can't get into a job that you want to, there's going to be a better job waiting for you. This is all about soul and path alignment. You're allowed to be upset about a disappointment, about a rejection, about a situation that didn't go the way you wanted to, but be on the lookout for something better. And that expectation, also this internal reset here and here, is telling the universe, I have faith, I have hope, and I'm also I'm like a satellite. I'm picking up on the good stuff too. I'm not just going to focus on reinforcing negative experiences. I believe in positivity. I believe in development. Let's bring it on. Show me something better than this. And that's how you can basically start to bring that into your life. All right, we have here in your soul path, when we're looking at heart, soul, and your energy, we have the Two of Pentacles. So you are being asked to balance things out. So whether it's the Two of Pentacles or the Six of Pentacles, that is the answer between these two. You don't want to be basically working yourself ragged and not getting enough back. You don't want to be tempted to do something that you don't want to do. Instead, you're going to focus on saying, this is where I stand. This is what matters to me. By the way, we have two cards of balance. The Two of Pentacles and the Hanged Man have to do with losing your balance. So the Hanged Man, again, sometimes can be your ankles or your feet. And the Two of Pentacles as well is about balancing. So I really want you to focus on grounding yourself in what it is that you want to do. Like I said, not just now, but long term. Also, deciding which of the two aces, which are always hidden in the Two of Pentacles, it's going to be your main focus. So whenever you have Two of Swords or Two of Pentacles, you essentially have two aces and they're competing for your time and energy. The Two of Pentacles specifically, because we're looking at resources. The Two of Swords is like a path in front of you. But with this, you just have to decide, does this make my heart sing more or does that? Will this benefit more from my time or energy or will that? Or have I made more of a commitment to this or to that? It's going to be eventually kind of easy for you. One of these two is just going to feel better for you. And remember that you can't do everything for everyone. This is oftentimes, you'll see sort of like this rubber band energy between the two pentacles. If you don't say no to something, or if you don't kind of give it like a 70-30 split where it's really weighted in one direction, something's going to give. It's usually health, patience, or maybe the relationship. Something's going to snap and you don't want that to happen. So make the choice sooner than later. Know that even though there may be a little bit of a sting when you are direct, the sooner you speak up, the sooner you take action, the sooner you free yourself and someone else to go on to a path that's more beneficial, right? All right, moving from that to your environment. This is where the boss energy comes through. So we have a really beautifully illustrated King of Wands here. So you can see it flying through the air, this bird, kind of like a phoenix almost. But it almost looks like it might be a chimera or it might be a phoenix sort of energy. But what I like about it, and it kind of looks like a peacock, it's all of the above meshed together. But what we see here is boldness, because these do remind me of peacock feathers. And if we were to think of like a phoenix rising from the ashes, we see something able to redefine itself after a setback. And the chimera is kind of like more than one thing. Let's take a look at the King of Wands, because I did show the Queen card. I also want to show the King. If I remember correctly on this one, he has like a lizard or a gecko on his throne, and he has the same sort of similar backdrop. One thing that I would say with this is you're somewhere between that king and that page at the center. So you want to hold your ground, you want to be a leader, but you also want to roll up your sleeves. I was talking to the previous sign about the ability to kind of be hands-on and show your sort of commitment, and that comes through for you too. So I found the King card. I was right. We have sort of those geckos in the background. I think there's also kind of like a lion as well. So some decks you'll see the lion, but we see either salamanders, geckos, or lizards, and it's basically, again, in the desert here. And this is someone where they're basically showing growth and abundance even in this place where things shouldn't grow. So that wand still has sprouts on it in this desert-like energy. So what your big challenge here in the environment is going to be is, how can I make something positive out of this maybe setback or this difficult choice, or how can I really turn my attention towards this? So you're being asked to lead and rise up and basically show something that other people around you may not be. they're looking for a leader. People around you are looking for that leadership. And when you step into that, you shine. We see the solar energy right here in the background. So I believe you're being set up for success. All you have to do is keep your calm, keep your cool, and come forward with a really clear mind. Then we see the resources coming in unexpected places. So as we look at hope, spheres, and opportunity, we have the 10 of Wands in reverse. And again, coming from something that didn't work, we see abundance here. The card in reverse is saying you don't have to do everything on your own. Part of leadership involves delegation, also tagging people or empowering people or asking them, hey, what do you want to work on? Or can I count on you for this? What do you think? So listening, delegating, and then in some cases, rolling up your sleeves and being a part of this as well. Good leaders do a combination of all of these things. They're not just sitting on their throne waiting for things to happen. They're in the mix, they're listening, and they're also giving a clear vision all the way through. And that's what you really are being called to do. The 10 of Wands in reverse here is indicating a couple of things. First of all, besides not having to shoulder the energy, because if you look at the traditional card, there's someone kind of weighted down by all the wands. But 10 of Wands is about movement from point A to point B, completion. So this is about getting over the hump, getting over that big sort of obstacle. And as long as you can see the progress that you've made and how close you are to the finish line, I feel like you're going to get this sort of second wind, like you're going to be able to find the capacity to get through to the finish line faster. I often like to look at this as sort of like a marathon runner that's in the very last couple paces of the run, and your body is kind of wanting to give out. Your mind is also playing tricks on you. And the important thing for you to think about is, I've been training for months for this. I've been working really hard. I know that I can get my mind and body connected and push through to this, and then I'm going to take some time off and I'm going to take care of myself. And that actually is what the final card is about. So as we look at the outcome card here, we have the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Let's look at it upright just to get the imagery and understand what's going on here. So 5 of Pentacles is basically saying a couple of things. For this expenditure of time and energy, there is a cost. And basically, if you push too far, your body is going to protest and it's going to get sick, or you're going to, like I said, maybe have sort of like an emotional snap where you lash out at someone and say something you shouldn't. So take care of your mind and body so that you can renew, so that you can be refreshed, so you can be cognitively as clear as possible. So that's 1. You have to take care of your body. 2, this also has to do with confidence and standing up for yourself when it comes to what you're worth. So what we see here as we look at the cards is this energetic push to get things done, putting in like 110% and maybe then some. Really smart leadership, hard work, innovation. We also see someone here who's able to toe the line and figure out how far to go, what to do, and how to deal with difficult personalities. To me, this is good leadership. This is someone who's worth receiving, all of what's necessary and then some. I want you to at least be at the 6 of Pentacles, which is more than enough. This is less than break even, because 5 of Pentacles upright would be break even, but to the point of exhaustion. And in reverse, it's saying it's not enough. And even if you're getting this, the 7 of Pentacles, it's reading energetically as 5 of Pentacles. Sometimes money, title, relationship status, whatever it is in life that you've been trying to accomplish, you get it and you think, but I need a little more. This isn't what I thought. This isn't connecting to me the way that it needs to. So for some of you, you're going to advocate and ask for what it is that you need. This card usually has 2 figures in it that are not looking at each other. They're facing opposite directions. In this one, we actually see someone kind of kindling their own light, just like the Hermit. So we actually see someone finding their own inner strength here, which is kind of cool. And they're going to step into their own power, light, and hopefully go into this window of opportunity behind them. The 5 of Pentacles usually stems from a past disappointment or setback that on a soul level creates a little bit of a scab or a scar. And it makes us afraid to try again because we're afraid that we're going to repeat history. You're not going to repeat history. You've learned from that. But the confidence building takes time. So don't push yourself. Don't rush yourself. You'll find the right time and way to do it. But this month, this is your big learning, or your big sort of breakout is, if you need more, ask for more. If someone isn't listening, find someone who is. If you're talking to someone who can't make a decision or is incapable of receiving, find a different person, especially if this is a company, but also if it's a family. If there's someone that just isn't connecting, go where the opening is. And I think energetically, that's always the most important thing. We always have redirection. So focus on where you can make a difference. Let's go ahead now and expand the forecast. We're going to take a look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with the energy of health. Again, I am going to help you through the energetic opportunities. If anything's going on with either physical health or mental health, obviously you'll work with the appropriate professional. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the Oracle card for health this month. And we have a sort of shape-shifting energy here. We have the snake, which is a card of power and is very closely connected to all the wands energy that we saw. And then we see shed your old skin here. So for some of you, you've just outgrown something in your life. It could be a relationship, it could be a job. There may just be something that you were attached to, a dream or a goal, and you could have either accomplished it or just grown tired of going down that path. It's completely okay to change your mind. As long as you've sort of done all the work and you're at the place where you just feel that this is or isn't you, that's all that matters. You know you best. You know yourself best. And in order to continue to grow, something has to leave or exit. And I definitely get a phoenix-like energy from this. So you're going to be able to rise up from this, and you're going to feel like emboldened and empowered because you're no longer putting time, energy, and lifeblood into something that just doesn't feel like it's worth it. And so the first thing that I see here is, yes, it's okay for you to do that. The snake also represents the ability to bounce back. This is a card of recovery, and the snake shedding skin reminds me of being able to let go of something. It's almost like a bandage coming off, or if you've got an injury with the scab coming off and new skin being beneath it that is healed. So letting go of the pain from the past, this can also be emotional pain. That's the big thing here, is saying that was a part of me. Yes, it may have left a mark, but it does not define who I am. I am more than that experience. I can't wait to do something different. So this is embracing opportunity and future potential, not so much the past experience or setback. Looking specifically at the body, I mentioned some of these. You have 2 cards showing balance issues. So in the deep past, this is an avoidable one. So this is saying if I rush, I could lose my grounding or my steadiness here. So the Hanged Man is trying to hold you back a little bit. What happens sometimes is an injury can take place so that you slow down. So if you're running at 100 miles per hour, the universe is going to give you a cold or maybe give you a minor injury to say, wait a second, don't forget about this. So for some of you, you're getting that necessary pause, but you can avoid it just by saying, you know what, I know that this might be an outcome. I'm going to just take the day off. I'm going to listen to Nicholas and I'm not going to burn the midnight oil. It's going to be okay. So slow down. Do focus on areas of for sensitivity this month. And it really is around, for many of you, your feet. And also this can hit the eustachian tubes, your inner ear. So if you have anything with vertigo or balance, obviously go to the proper professional, but it can hit in different places. It can be here, and it can also be something physical in the ankles. So those are 2 things that I would pick up on with the cards with respect to that. The other stuff here is more about stress management. 5 of Swords are difficult people. 5 of Cups, it's mourning and getting past some of these situations. And then otherwise, making sure that this is avoidable too. The 5 of Pentacles can be like cold and flu that happens because you're basically wearing yourself too thin or working yourself too much. The 5 of Pentacles also hits its legs this month. So ankles, feet, and anything below the knees, basically. For some of you, there's sensitivity. So when you're walking, when you're doing any sort of activity, don't multitask. That's the main thing that I could give you as advice. Be as fully present as possible. And if you tend to wear high heels or fancy shoes, go for more practical stuff when you're walking. That sort of stuff is more meant for just a moment of being on the stage or being on air, and then take it off. Be very practical with respect to your ankles and your feet this month. All right, that's the main messages when it comes to health. One last thing actually is dehydration. So make sure that you're getting enough to drink. with all of the Wands cards, which is a very fiery, plus the desert, feels like some of you could either be dealing with inflammation or with a lack of hydration. So drink enough liquids and more water than caffeine and things of that nature. Okay, let's move on to the from the health card to wealth. I was excited when I saw this for you. We have friendship and union coming through on this, which is telling me many of you have done a really amazing job at creating this sort of this networking and this family and this reputation for you when it comes to the people in your life. So the conduit or the key to success for wealth, personal development, school, and money is going to be through the people that you've met and those sort of core relationships. If I think back to when I was still kind of navigating the corporate landscape, I would say 2 or 3 of my most pivotal moves came from people that I knew. So because of the work that I've done in previous companies, or because I'd worked with someone before, I was able to get my resume directly submitted to the HR person rather than having to like digitally submit it or finding another way to do it. So it's through word of mouth, it's through someone that you know that you could find something. If you're looking for a job, a house, a love interest, something that's important to you, to your personal development, basically talk about that. Be conversational, be outspoken, and let people know so that they can think about it and be like, you know what, I thought about this and this. Here, I'm going to give you someone's number, or I'm going to send you to a website. I'm going to give you the connection that you're looking for. So there's a conduit that's going to be really important. There could also be love that's kind of intermixing, or new friendship that's intermixing with work. So again, thinking back to when I had an office job, you spend a lot more time with the people that you work with, particularly for those of you that are not working remotely but are still in an office. You spend more time with them than you sometimes do with your family or your spouse, because you're there for like 60, 70 plus hours per week, and you really get to know all of them. So we can see a deepening of relationships. For those of you that might be single, there could be a company gathering. We're getting towards the end of the year, so there's holiday sort of things where you meet someone as well. So just be mindful of what's appropriate, obviously, whenever we mix work and personal life. But I do see something really nice here. Okay. You might also decide, for those of you that are going to be entrepreneurial, to do a partnership, to start a company with someone as well. Let's look at the rest of the cards here. Fighting for what is necessary. That's the big opportunity for those of you that are already employed or are managing your own finances. You're going to be fine here with the 7 of Pentacles, but there's this fear or this sort of tendency to maybe accept less than what's appropriate, to sell yourself short, to maybe have a hard time delegating and working yourself to exhaustion. So manage resources appropriately. Find the 6 between these two, between the 5 and the 7, and really embrace that. I'll pull this card up while we're talking so you can see it, but that's what I really think is important, is knowing when to say when, not being afraid to push back, and knowing that by doing this, you're actually going to open up more opportunities. You'll be able to basically better spend your time and energy. The other thing that I would say with all of this, when we're looking even at work, is to avoid burnout. I'll turn the camera down while we're talking about this, because once you get to that, here's the missing card here. So once you get to that burnout, it's really hard to come back. It's going to take longer to recover. You'll miss opportunities, and we don't want that. Here's the answer to those 2 cards. It's the in-between, and it's saying, I can't do everything, but I can give you this and I can give you that, and I'm going to conserve these. It has to fit those scales in your life of what's right and what's not. You may be signing a contract this month and you want to negotiate for more. You can ask for more, for a better title, for more money. Make sure that you are discerning and picky, and if it doesn't fit, don't do it. For some of you, you're going to cut through some of the gossip or the work issues when it comes to like morale, or again, someone who just isn't ready to listen to you. You're going to decide that's not worth my time and energy as well. And again, we also have this balancing card here. So 3 cards that are showing a test. So you might have it pop up a few times in a few different ways. And going back to this, the answer is, I can't do everything. I can do this. And that's either enough or it isn't. And ultimately, when it comes to whatever it is, whether it's social, work, or money, you're going to have to hold that grounding and say, this is what it is. This is what I can do. Okay? For some of you, there's a job opportunity that entails traveling, or there's a move on the horizon. Make sure again that you're getting compensated for what that requires for you, because that's extra energy and expenditure. I do see leadership opportunities coming through for some of you, which is exciting as well. Again, make sure that you get compensated, that it's not just title, but it's also pay. And that's basically the main things that I'm seeing here. 2 cards of travel, actually. 2 of Cups is travel, and the 10 of Wands is travel. So make sure that you're open and ready to do that. It could be good for you, but you have to be comfortable with the travel. Moving from work and into relationships here, we have Diana saying focused intention. Diana or Artemis, it's saying, let's think about what it is that you desire. Set your sights high and expect the best possible outcome. I think that this is such great advice when it comes to manifestation. I always like to remind people of that phrase, all of this or better, making sure that the universe can surprise you in a good way. And you can start to think that today is going to be the day where things start to take a change for the better. I'm open to it. Show me, universe, where this better path is, where this better investment is. So in relationships, if you've had bad luck before, this is about doing away with that phrase that many people say, like, oh, I have bad luck in love, or I always meet some certain type of person. I can't seem to break this cycle. What you're going to say right now is, I release this. I've learned my lessons. I'm now ready to receive a partnership that is better than what I've had before. Show me what I need to do internally, and then show me the right path towards that person or that opportunity. Let's break this down into 3 different types of relationships. Those of you that are already in a long-term relationship, those that are looking, or those that are single and happy. If you're in a current relationship, it's easy to see where the main focus needs to be. It's communication. This is listening, and this is someone that can't accept or won't accept feedback or has a hard time. They talk over you, or you talk over them. So the main thing here is listening, making sure that both partners feel heard, and then realizing that it's not about right versus wrong. The 5 of Swords has to be right. And the truth in life is that you have to take the light and the shadow. Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you need to learn from something. So, there's something in the middle for both of you. It's not black and white, basically. So as long as in that relationship you can see accountability from both sides, you're going to be fine. If we try to polarize it or demonize someone, that's where it breaks down. It does feel like distance could be playing a big role here. So this is the allocation of time and energy. It's not quite where it needs to be. We see fluctuations here, but it's brought in part by travel or distance, and then also kind of how much of a load one partner is carrying. One of you could be dealing with death or loss. This shedding of an old skin could be letting go of someone or something, and the other partner really just needs to support that. They don't need to judge it. You could just be present and say, what is it you need? I've been talking about this over the past few readings because it keeps popping up. The other thing is you might need to remind each other that this isn't sustainable, that there's too much going on. So you could say, you've got a lot going on here. Can I take something off your plate? Or, I can tell that you're stressed out. What can I do to help you with this? You're not the therapist. You don't have to make the decision. You just have to give the outstretch the hand and say, what can I do? You can also say, I'm stressed out. I need help. Is there anything you could do to help me? What do you think about this? You can also let them know where you need the insight and how they can show up. Communication, and then offering and extending help and balancing out the resources. Those are the main challenges that I'm seeing in the relationship sort of area for existing ones, for anyone that's already coupled up. And then focusing on what it is that you really want to do. You can't be everything to that partner at one time. You could say, here's where I can give you the most time and help. Is that good? And then if they need more help, then you could, say, well, let's pull in some additional resources, whether that's a therapist or family, or you're going to find something somewhere else. Just remember that you're not everything. Okay? Let's look at those of you that are trying to pull in love into your life right now, single and looking. Well, one thing that I'm seeing is just managing your stress and time right now, because these cards are all showing someone who's kind of stressed out or that there's a lot going on. So if your schedule is completely full, you have to carve out some time so that a partner could actually show up and that you could put the energy in it that you need to. So that's the first thing, is just a reality check. But there's already someone here. and they're coming through as strong fire energy, King of Wands. This is someone who's bold, who's sensual, who has a strong head on their shoulders, and may also be long distance or maybe just recently moving in. Pulling it back to your oracle card here, for those of you that are looking, it's asking you to focus your intention. What is it you're looking for? That's really what Diana is asking here. She's saying, what is it that you want? Set your sights high. Don't settle for less than that. So if you're trying to manifest something, first of all, don't just say like, I want love in my life. Say, I want love in the highest form. I'm looking for a partner that is lovable, available, healthy, has good limits, has a good relationship with their, whatever it is that you're trying to manifest. Put those out there. Make it at least half a dozen things so that you're clear to the universe that you're not just looking for any one connection, that you've set your sights high. And then work on personal healing. For many of you, there's a little bit of healing to do with your parents or your siblings or something from the past. There's a little bit of financial healing to be done. There's a little bit of work-life balance that has to be done as well. These three sort of resource balances will help you find someone who's also done that work in their life. Then you can both show up and be there for each other. You can have a good time. And that's what we're basically seeing here. I see someone that's ready, but you have a little bit of work to do, and the clarification could be sharpened just a bit. Okay. The last thing that we're going to look at is those of you that are single and happy. What I see for many of you is the ability to achieve the perfect balance in your life this month. For many of you, this is going to be figuring out, what is it that I want? I don't want this. Maybe I want to focus more on relationships, but what am I also trying to do in my life right now? So it's personal discovery. Even though we didn't get the Hermit, that can be part of what you're deciding to do, is go inward. So maybe you're going back to school. Maybe you're deciding to pick up something that you haven't finished before and finish it right now. Figure out what it is that you want. I think that travel is a great thing right now. I think that letting go of something as well. So balancing out all the things that I talked about, your money, your health, and your work-life balance. Those are the things that are going to be the best use of your time and energy. Some of you may decide to write something or build something here because the Ace of Swords is about taking action, and that would definitely be a good use of your time and energy. Okay, let's move on to your Destiny card. And this one is in such beautiful connection and synchronicity with everything that I talked about with star creation. So I mentioned that from that chaos, from that mess, basically comes this proto-star or this epiphany. So I feel like many of you this month, you're allowing the dust to settle. You're starting to see beyond whatever it was, a setback or the chaos or your own sort of emotional turmoil. And now it's like, oh, look at what's there on the horizon, or look what I can do. You're going to see it before someone else. And it says here, flip it upside down, question your beliefs. You think there's a limit, there's not. Someone else thinks that there's a limit, they may be wrong. So what you're really going to do is look at it way out of the box. And there's a card in the Light Seers deck that looks like this, and it's the Magician. So this is showing me once you kind of rearrange the elements a bit, then some amazing things can happen. And you can really put yourself in that position of empowerment and control, and again, creative energy, which would be the Magician. So that's what you can do this month. That's really what it's all about, is to look at something from a different perspective, and it's going to be far better than you anticipated. Look at how they're both almost in the same posture. This one is grieving. This one is taking those two cups and saying, let me spin this in another direction. Let me see what else I can do. Let me start to get into the energy of empowerment, of creation. Let me find my mojo, all right? Let's look at the big idea with that sort of energy in mind. What can you do to find your power again? Let's shuffle the cards and take a look. You gotta love synchronicities, right? So I got the Magician card, and I love it. This one is very connected to Cinderella, it looks like, right? The fairy godmother here. So you have to put a wish out into the universe and let it know what it is that you're looking for. So make a wish. And remember what we saw here with Diana. Focus that intention. This isn't just love, it's what you love. Passion can take many forms. So think about what you desire, set your sights high, expect the best outcome, get into that energy of creation, and then start it up. Start your engines, right? And I'm going to pull the card from the Light Seers deck if I can find where I placed it. Usually I have it. Yeah, I have it right here. So I'm going to show you the Magician card because It's really nicely connected to all of this, and it's not accidental. So what I would say here with magician energy is remember a couple of things. First and foremost, thoughts manifest. So instead of thinking, I'm afraid, what if this doesn't happen? I can't do it. This hasn't worked before. Instead, reset it and think, I'm really excited about the potential here. What can I do differently this time? I am ready to create something new. I am strong, I am capable, I am a creator. Kind of put all of that energy out there. Okay, this is the card that I was thinking of. Look at how, I mean, I'm using a lot of different decks here, but they have very similar energy. Not at all the same, but look at this. To me, this is the power of creation, okay? So I saw this and I saw Magician, and even though we pulled this particular card, they all are kind of telling you different things. This is your ability to pull at all the resources. This is making a wish. It's a fairy godmother, and it connected nicely with Diana, which was saying, you know, set your intention high, that wish, and consider that it's going to be all of this and more. And that's really what I want you to focus on if you choose to focus on that right now. How exciting is that? I know I get I get worked up in a good way when I see things connecting. And Virgo, there's some magic happening for you. All of that sort of pause and sort of tortoise-like energy, it's not going to be there for long. Once you move past the illusion that for some reason you feel like you're in the desert, you're going to have a breakthrough. Let's look at the next two cards to help you. They're going to be the key. The block may be the lock, but the blessing is the key. So let's see what could be blocking you. Let's see how you can unblock yourself or unlock that energy. All right. So for your blessing, we have the Knight of Swords, and for your block, we have the Three of Wands in reverse, which is somehow thinking that it's not happening. All right, so the blessing this month. All you have to do is take the initial action and things start to pick up. Knights are basically kind of like catalysts. They start the motions, they start the action, they start the communication. Once that happens, other people follow suit. Also, sometimes, you know, like there's a code by which the knights work. You know, you have to do the right thing. Someone else may not be ready or willing to do that. They're trying to push you in another direction. Your blessing is you're stronger than that. You have a different code and you're going to move into that energy. If you sort of pick up the phone, send an email, or start a conversation, there's a sort of ricochet or domino effect that happens with that. So your actions and words have immediate and profound actions. So if you're not seeing what you need, raise your hand, speak up. It may not happen right now, but it will happen this month, and you are going to be that catalyst, that beginning phase for that. The block is not looking around enough. So the Three of Wands, basically in the traditional card, would show that your ships are coming into the shore. What happens with it is sometimes we're looking in the wrong direction and we miss something. So what I want you to do this month is to realize that what it is that you seek may already be here. It might be to your left, to your right. It might be in a different shape or form. And what you're going to do is say, I'm willing and ready to look at this in another way, because here we go. Flip it upside down. Look at these synchronicities. So flip it upside down, and what happened with this card? It was reversed, and it's basically saying flip this upside down, keep reaching, keep looking. It's there. It just isn't right in front of you. So the answer to how to fix this was actually in the Destiny card. Flip it around or look in another direction, and you're already manifesting what you're looking to manifest. It just didn't come in the direction or the timing that you thought it would, or the package that you thought it would. So flip it upside down, look at it from another perspective, and you can actually make your block a blessing. Your block is thinking it has to show up at this time, in this shape, in this form, because that's what you want. The universe is saying, but I have a different idea, because maybe this shape, this form, this time is going to be better for you. And if you stop resisting it and start meeting it, then you're going to meet opportunity and you're going to be ready, and that synchronicity is going to come through for you. Pretty powerful, Virgo, actually. That excites me as well because it all comes together. All right, let's move on to, for me, it's going to just be Reader's Choice today because we're doing a live premiere. So let's take a look at the cards in front of us. So let's see what I can help you with the most. I usually pick two things when I do a live premiere here. So I really want to help you with this. So I want to look at the limits associated with the Five of Pentacles, And I think the other thing here for you with the Ten of Wands is how to lessen the load a little bit too. Because I think if you do that, you're going to be more aware of what's going on. So let's look at what is going on with this Five of Pentacles. Is it health? Is it money? Is it confidence? And then what can we do to help you maybe ask for help or delegate, things of that nature. All right, so let's shuffle the cards and we're going to clarify Five of Pentacles first and then Ten of Wands. Five of Pentacles clarified by the Hermit, which we talked about earlier, and the Ten of Wands is clarified by the Tower. That's where the biggest change needs to happen. Let's talk about these two separately. All right, so first I'm clarifying Five of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Hermit energy. I mentioned here, again, gosh, this is a magical reading today, Virgo. I'm very excited for you. But I mentioned that there was Hermit energy with this, right? So here's the Hermit. Even though this Hermit doesn't carry the lantern, we know that that's part of this. So the Hermit card is saying, I'm not getting what I need from that person. They're not validating me. They're not giving me the support that I need. They're not listening to me. I don't need it because I know who I am, because I've done the work, because the light that I have comes from within. It isn't reliant upon someone else's, acceptance of me. I have it here in the keynote. So let me just pull this up so you can see it. So here's your traditional card. And you can see the Hermit holding the star, kindling confidence. I actually put it all here in this card. So this is what it's about. So a Hermit phase ultimately results in empowerment and star energy. Now's the time to recognize, embrace, and eventually tap into that inner star. You have it. You have exactly what you need to get something done, but someone else in your life has made you think that you don't. So this is a rediscovery. And we see that beautiful stag in the background. Once you find the energy, you're going to emerge and you're going to rebound from this. And here's one of the things that I've done in my life that's helped. Whenever I meet someone in my life that tries to hold me back, doesn't support me or underestimates me, I have a good time showing them that my vision was correct. Like I try to prove my vision right and just be successful. I had good advice from someone once where she said, don't worry about getting even. Just have a great life, be really successful. This is when I escaped like a bad boss and went to another job. And it was a coworker. She said, just have an amazingly successful career. Be really happy. That's the best way that you can forget about this and prove them wrong. And that was great advice. And so I'll pass that on to you. You have what it takes. All right? Kindle the flame within. Don't look for your fire from others. Let's now validate, or I should say, clarify the Ten of Wands. So we have Ten of Wands in reverse, which can be taking on too heavy of a load, having a hard time delegating, or getting exhausted and having a hard time making your way to the finish line. As we look at the Tower card, which clarifies it here, we see someone that is basically, it's like Rapunzel throwing out her hair and saying, I need some help. Come up and help me out with this. This isn't sustainable. So delegation is definitely a piece of this. The other thing is it's saying this habit needs to change. And that if you push too much into that, I have to carry the weight of the world energy, then it just isn't sustainable. So push back on that habit, allow other people to step in and support you. If you constantly get people saying, I want to be here for you, let them be there for you. If you have a hard time and they don't even know that something's going on, reach out and let them know and see if they will come in. And otherwise, reach out to new resources. Maybe they don't exist in your life right now, but this is saying, I got to find someone or something else because this won't sustain. The Tower is also saying it's time to move on. This can be holding on to something long after it suits you, and this is saying, all right, I realize now that I need to exit or move or change or shift. The Tower is ultimately a cleansing energy, and it's saying, let's break this up a little bit. Let's break this down so that it's more manageable. So if there's anything in your life that feels overwhelming, sort of take it down into its sort of smaller parts and decide, okay, I can deal with this now, I can do this, or you're going to reorganize it and flip it around and say, all right, this feels overwhelming, but what if I try this or what if I do this? This is a time to really be inventive, to be sort of experimental, and definitely to try something different, okay? That's the clarification of the Ten of Wands. Change is necessary, change is now, and you may need to change up your environment too with all of this as well. All right, let's go ahead now and expand this to look at sun, rising, and moon messages. As I said earlier, you can look at it for all aspects of your chart, but these are the most common sort of focus points that I think all of us want to look at, so I like to look at them as well in this reading. So let's go ahead and shuffle the cards, look at Sun, Rising, and Moon, and then we'll talk about them. Sun, Rising, and Moon. They're all beautiful, actually. Great messages here. We're going to start first with Sun sign messages. We have the Judgment card, and it's upright. And this is really powerful. So Judgment in the upright position is saying, in this moment, when you decide what you want, when you accept what's coming in, then you have this ability to rise up. And basically, this is a card of rebounding, reinventing, rebirthing, and basically stepping through to that final card in the major arcana, which is the World, which is expansion. So you're one step away from this really big breakthrough. Judgment does indicate for some of you that there could be a decision that's gone on and it's outside of your hands. There's another external decision maker. So when that happens, you can't necessarily make up their mind. You can't affect what's going on here, but you can affect what you choose to do with their decision, with the energy around you. So you don't have to be stressed. You don't have to feel beholden to them. You just decide, am I on board with that? Is this what I like? Do I feel empowered by this, or do I feel like I want to move on to something else? Either way, you're going to be okay because you realize that it's all about future energy, that you're past this, that is actually just, that isn't even where your power or energy is. It's what are you going to do about this? And the other thing here is that many of you have made a decision in your life, but there's this sort of hesitation, and Judgment is saying, I need to accept that this is the calling, that this is the necessary step, and I just need to surrender to it. So this is surrendering to the call, okay? It's a beautiful card. It's one of my favorites. The traditional one, you would see an angel, and it's blowing the horn, and then the souls are rising from the dead. So there is no such thing as a setback with Judgment. There is just the next step. There is just an opening. There's just this sort of rebounding energy. For me, it's one of my favorite cards because, especially in this deck, we can see the dawn of a new day here. So if you're ready and willing to accept that, then we see that new beginning for you. Let's move from Sun to Rising messages. This month, you have the Ten of Cups in reverse for Rising and Ascendant. This is a really powerful card because, first and foremost, the Ten of Cups is a magnet. And the magnet is basically saying there's increased visibility from people around you. So friends, family, loved ones are looking at you, and they may be asking more of your time and energy. So you may be invited to a lot of events. There may be a lot of family obligations. There may be a need for you to pull back and be the hermit a little bit, because we do see that. So if there's too much going on, you may be feeling like, I need to reserve some time and energy. So do that if you need to. That's definitely acceptable. You may decide that you want to put more focus in your relationship, and this could be challenging when it comes to work, because Rising and Ascendant a lot of times is how you're showing up at work or in other social activities. So you're going to have to figure out work-life balance and making sure that you're not letting your sort of relationship energy go by the wayside here. And for some of you, you're focusing more on creating key relationships in your life. Again, it doesn't have to just be love. You might be putting more of that into core friendships or networking, but this is saying, I am going to prioritize this more now than I have before. No matter how you slice it, I see you being put in the mix more with other people, and it's all about setting the intention of what you're trying to accomplish with that. Are you getting something out of this? What are you looking for? Are you lost in the mix? Making sure that you're clear on who you are, what you want, and where you stand. And you're going to be tested with respect to boundaries this month. And your work-life balance is going to be something that you're going to have to decide. How much do I want to invest here? How much do I want to invest here? So be strong, be consistent, and know that you're also very magnetic. So whatever it is that you seek, you have a really good chance of pulling into your life right now. Good messages for Rising. Let's move from Rising to Moon. So for Moon, this is a chance for you to finish something. We have the Eight of Cups, which is returning to an old path, an old relationship, an old idea, and deciding, am I done with this now? The card is reversed, so you have a choice. You're kind of at this doorway, and you're deciding, do I want to leave that door open? Am I ready to explore this? And also, there's an intermittent sort of energy. Maybe you're thinking, is this enough? Do I kind of like where I'm at? Do I like the start and stop? And do I like the ability to explore other things? So you again are being asked by Diana here to focus your intention. Are you done? Do you want more? Do you want to leave the bridge open so that you can come back and forth? The Eight of Cups is also a really good energy for creating a cycle. So if there's something new that you want to start, something new with exercise, going back to school, trying something different, you have a very good opportunity right now for this to be something that sticks around, that lasts. Finally, this is yet another travel card. You have Two of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Wands, and now you have the Eight of Cups here. So there's a chance for you to go further, learn new things, and maybe even advance your sort of like goal or personal development through travel. So if that's something that resonates with you, then definitely the card is supporting that as well. Okay? And making and breaking cycles, of course, is always a piece of this. So just decide what you want. That's a key thing that we keep coming back to with Diana. And that, my friends, is the Sun, Rising, and Moon messages for this month. All right, let's quickly regroup. We've gone through all the major portions except the meditation and the final card, so we're going to go there next. But let's just review here. Yes, we hit on every sort of major thing here. So the next portion that we're going to do is the meditation. Before we do that, I don't ask often here, but please hit subscribe if you enjoyed this. Click the bell too so that you don't miss out any key notifications. Throw me a follow on social media as well for reminders. And if you'd like to give back a little bit right now, you can do that before we begin the meditation. Otherwise, let's get started for this meditation. I think that this card is a beautiful one to help us realize the potential here. And it is very sort of galactic, and it reminds you of the ability to create something from what seems like it's disorder. You're going to create order from disorder or order from chaos. What matters for you is what the heart is telling you. So we're going to focus on kind of creating this proto-star energy in the heart, and then imagining that all the elements in your life start to rotate around the heart space. So close your eyes, take a nice deep breath. Sigh it out, let it out. Do that a few times. We don't breathe heavily enough. Sometimes we just hold it all in. So take a few deep breaths, 2 or 3, really sigh it out as you're inhaling and exhaling. And now with eyes closed and posture tall, I want you to imagine that your heart is this beautiful greenish yellow light that we see here. And as you take a deep breath, you can start to see it light up. And then imagine, just like that illustration, that you can start to swirl the light in front of you. You can start to bring it in front like you're mixing something up. And then imagine that you could step into that light and see yourself at the center of a galactic spiral. And in all of these sort of energetic shockwaves around you, you can start to see things realigning. And if there's anybody that you don't want or need in your life, see them starting to shift out into the outer orbits. If there's someone or something that you want to bring closer, take a deep breath and allow the heart to bring it closer to you. Let's set the focus on that. Imagine that you are embracing that. You could also focus, by the way, on healing yourself. So you could imagine that you're pulling in a younger version of yourself or just the mirror of yourself, and you're putting into this heart-centric energy, love and acceptance. And then you allow for the thing that it is that you want to also step into that space, because you have to love and accept yourself first before someone or something else can see that worth. So do that. Continue to think to yourself positive, affirmative thoughts. I am worth all of this and more. I am ready to receive love and abundance in the highest forms. I see the possibilities. I realize there were setbacks before, but I now set my sights higher, just like Diana was saying here. And I'm ready and willing to receive that. I'm not going to doubt myself and think I can't do this. I can, I will, I am. Continue to say that mantra while I get the singing bowl, and then we will meditate. Remember to breathe. Remember to keep that swirling energy around you as we're doing this meditation. And now hold your final question until the end, and we'll take a look at that right afterwards. Take a few deep breaths, and as you're doing this, see the beautiful energy of creation coming into your body, into your mind, into your spirit, and staying there, so that anything that you touch, anything that you approach this month, you're going to carry with you that sort of creator's touch. Remember, you're always co-creating with the higher energy of the universe. So what we're really doing right now is owning that co-creative energy. See yourself as writer, producer, director, and actor in your own life. And if something didn't work before, again, that message was flip it upside down, turn it inside out, and imagine that something better can happen this time. Now focus on your final question that you have for me. It can be anything. It can be a single yes, no. It can be something a little deeper. You could just be open to what the universe has to say. Hold that thought, and let's shuffle the cards and see what wants to come through. We actually got a volunteer, a very clear one here. It's on its side, so I'm going to read it as an upright card. And we have the Two of Wands. And by the way, this one is very much connected to January because we have Janus here, the god of ends and beginnings, basically looking at the past and the future. So you find yourself in this in-between zone between past and future. Two of Wands, by the way, is always there. It's looking at what you want and looking at what's coming through right now. So here's the thing. This is the card of manifestation. It's a brother or sister card to the High Priestess. So the more you can connect to what it is that you want to do, clarity and intention, that's the name of the game today, Virgo, that keeps coming through for you. But the more you put that clarity and intention out there, and the more you are able and willing to accept that it can and it will happen, the faster it will happen. This is a yes card. This is a yes card, but if you're asking me a yes, no, it's saying yes, but you have to hold the faith and the vision, and you have to be willing to wait a couple of weeks or a couple of months. It's happening. It's not necessarily happening as fast as the Three of Wands, but it's happening. So be open and look in multiple directions, very close to what I was talking about with the energy of the Three of Wands earlier when we were looking at that in the blessings and the blocks, right? The one thing that I was saying is that it could be coming in a different direction. So this person's looking down. They need to look up. And in this case, you may be looking left, but you need to be looking right. So I just want you to look at it from all different directions and dimensions. We're very galactic today with the stars and the sort of creative clouds around it, the nebula. So this is about going anywhere you need to and not limiting yourself by what's obvious, okay? That, my friends, is today's message. I would like to say thank you for everybody who took some time today to show up. If you enjoyed the reading, please, like I said, throw a subscribe and a like here. Follow me on social. And I just want to say thanks to everybody that gave back. A quick note for my schedule here. I'm always live on Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays, unless otherwise mentioned on my community tab of YouTube or on my website. And also, I do a daily card pull, so you can check out the main channel page for that or any of my social media platforms because I always post it there. I additionally do some special videos. This month we'll be doing a Halloween video. And like I said, I might be doing some member-specific things in the near future. So with all of that being said, I wish you an amazing month ahead. I really feel emboldened and excited about what's coming through for you because you have this creative energy coming through and you have the ability to really make it happen. It's all about that clarity though. So if I could underline one key card here, I believe focused intention is everything. All right. Have an amazing month, Virgo. Much love and light. I'll see you again on the weekend. And until then, all the best from me to you. All right. Take care. Lots of love and light. Bye-bye.